Hello, and welcome to the first of a new look to Cody W1's channel. Yes, this is me, Cody W1, Ian, actually talking to you for the very first time. I thought this would be a good way to begin this new era in the channel by answering the questions that you put to me in the Q&A. So let's go to my channel and look at some of the questions. Okay. The first question came from Time for Teletubbies, who says, if the Doctor were back to being a man, would you watch the show again? Oh god, you're trying to get me in trouble already. Short answer, no. Long answer, I think it's just too late now. I think the character and the mythos has just been fatally compromised with this nonsense. And I think the whole ethos of New Who would need to change to get me back, and I don't think that's going to happen, so no. Second question is from Graham Inglis, who says, if you could recover any Hartnell and Troughton stories, but only by junking forever existing ones, what would you swap, if any? Well, I would definitely get rid of Keys of Marinus for Marco Polo, and I'd happily get rid of the Dominators for the Abominable Snowmen. So there's two. Third question is from Jack Main. Would you rather watch Season 18 of Classic Doctor Who, but without State of Decay, or Series 1 of New Who? Now that's a tricky one. I don't think much to Season 18, and certainly without State of Decay, there's not very much left of appeal. Meglos is okay, that's about it. You all know I'm not much of a New Who fan, and even Series 1 I don't really think much to these days, but I do still like The Empty Child, and I'm one of the few people who seems to think Aliens of London is hilarious, so I would have to say Aliens of London. Next question, there's actually 5 questions from Jack the Film Fanatic. Okay, question 1, opinion on The Timeless Children. Yeah, well, I haven't watched this, of course. I have heard all about it. I think it's hilarious, to be honest with you. I think it's New Who decanonizing itself from the original series in quite spectacular train wreck fashion. I mean, it's obviously ridiculous and stupid and just, yeah, I mean, if I still watched this crap and I still considered it to be Doctor Who, I'd probably be furious like many other people are. As it is, I just think it's comical. Question 2, most overrated Who story. Well, of Classic Who, I'd have to say Genesis of the Daleks is the one that springs to mind. I mean, I don't hate it, but I've always found it kind of overlong and a bit dull and very dour. So, yeah. New Who, Human Nature probably springs to mind. It's very well made and just not very good. Question 3, favourite actor. Now then, does this mean favourite actor as in favourite male actor? Or is it, supposed to be all-encompassing? It also says favourite rather than who do you think is the best, so I'm going to treat it like that. I'm going to treat it, and I'm also going to just limit it to movies, otherwise we'll be here all day. Favourite actors and actresses in movies. I don't have one particular, I have many. People like Roger Moore, Sean Connery, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Steve Martin, Emma Watson, Sigourney Weaver, Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. Question 4, favourite films of this year so far. Now that's a bit of a problem, because I have not seen almost anything this year. I've only been to the cinema once. That was in late January for the second Jumanji. We all know why I've watched that. That was it. After that, there wasn't anything I was interested in, and then by the time you get to March, the whole coronavirus thing was starting, and then all the cinemas shut down. So I really haven't seen anything except the new Jumanji this year. I mean, I doubt I'll even do a top 10 films of 2020 at the end of this year, because I don't know when I'm going to be going back to the cinema at this rate. Question 5. Opinions on the upcoming Power of the Daleks new animation. I'm not buying it again. That's my opinion. I've already bought it twice. I've only sat through it once. I don't see the animation, based on the faceless ones anyway, being good enough to justify to fork out for a third time. So, no. Unless everybody says it's stunning and amazing, I don't think I'm buying it. Next question is from Theodore Dalton, who asks, what is your favourite and least favourite Doctor Who story arc, both classic and New Who? Well, my favourite classic arc would have to be the Key to Time season. No surprise there, that's one of my favourite seasons. Least favourite, again, predictable, Trial of a Time Lord. Terrible, terrible. Favourite New Who arc would probably be the Series 5 one. I mean, you can't beat Amy's crack, let's face it. Least favourite one, I don't know. Most of them aren't very good, let's be honest. The Cybersmen parallel universe stuff in Series 2, I suppose. Stephen Noonan asks, since you didn't become a fan as a little kid but as a teenager, which is not true, by the way, I was actually 11 when I became a fan, not a teenager. Stop trying to age me up, Stephen. I'm old enough as it is without you trying to make me even older. Have I been scared even for a moment, or even just conceptually, by a Doctor Who story? There were a few moments on first viewing when I found Fenric quite scary. On a conceptual level, I found Inferno quite disturbing. I was probably too old to be, genuinely traumatised by Doctor Who. Although I was traumatised by Fright Night and A Nightmare on Elm Street just the year before. But Fenric a little bit, and Inferno was kind of disturbing. Theodore Dalton. Oh, it's another question from Theodore Dalton, who says, would I prefer that the original season 23 have been filmed, or the original season 27? That's interesting, because, I mean, the knee-jerk reaction is to say season 27, because obviously Sylvester and Sophie are up there with Tom and Lalla for me. That's my favourite Doctor and companion. But in some ways I think Colin kind of got even more screwed than Sylvester did. I would really love to see another season in the style of season 22. Of the ones, like the Big Finish ones that I've heard them do, the Lost Stories, I certainly thought Nightmare Fair was miles better than Thin Ice. So I'm going to say the original planned season 23. Frollo Baggins asks, would I consider starting up a letterboxd account to rate movies? No, not really. I think I spend enough time on the internet doing pointless rubbish as it is, to be honest with you. He also asked, have I seen the Terry Gilliam movie 12 Monkeys? Yes, I have, and I like it very much. It's a very good science fiction movie, a very good 90s movie. I like that a lot. Edward Opt says, if I could write one story for any Doctor, what would it be? Would it be serious or light-hearted, have a new villain, etc.? I think I'd probably write a Tom and Lalla one. and I'd probably kind of do it in the Decay fashion, because I really love State of Decay. I love that it's Tom and Lala in a kind of a gothic horror story. It's the only one that they did, of course, and I love their comic stories. But it just shows that they work in any kind of story. Those two, they're so good. They work in a scary one as well. So I'd probably write another one like that. I don't know, something along that line with like werewolves or something like that. I don't know. Next question is from Leo Walker, who says, "Is there a great Doctor Who episode you always forget about?" Not really. Closest thing that comes to mind, I don't think it's necessarily great so much as just good, is The Power of Kroll. I don't think it's great, but I think it's good, and I think it's underrated. And I always forget how good the dialogue is and how good the world building is in that until you're watching it again. Yeah. Philadelphia Hoovian, a very nice YouTuber who everybody should head over and check out her channel, has two questions for me. She says, "Do I have a favourite Indiana Jones movie?" Yes, I do. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original. I don't think much to Temple of Doom these days. I loved it as a kid, but not much now. Last Crusade, I think is pretty good. I like that, mainly for Sean Connery. The most recent one was pretty terrible, but Raiders is a classic in my book. It's just a great movie. She also asks if Romana was ever going to come back, hopefully when the Doctor is put to rights again, rather than with Chibnall. What actresses would I like to see play the role? Oh no, this is going to get me in trouble. Not so much, because there's like 4 actresses I can think of. The latter two are really just me dreaming. First two, Clemence Posey, I'm not sure if that's pronounced right, Clemence Posey or whatever, who was Fleur in the Harry Potter movies and Elise in The Tunnel. I think she'd make a great Romana. See, the thing I think about Romana for me is, I think you need, just based on what Mary Tam and Lalla Ward did, you need a beautiful woman who is got kind of an upper class, kind of aristocratic quality to her, but kind of subverting that has a warmth and a humour. So Clemence Posey is definitely in there. My second choice would probably be Amelia Fox, who's most well known these days on Silent Witness. I actually had her pegged as a Romana before New Who even came about, way back in the early 2000s when I first saw her in the remake of Brandel and Hopkirk Deceased. I remember thinking she'd make a perfect Romana back then. Next two choices, people are going to say, "Oh, you're only choosing them because you fancy them," which is probably true, but tough. Emma Watson seems like an obvious choice to me. She's got that whole, she's got the whole posh thing going on. She's got the warmth and the humour. I can see her being a good Romana. She'd never do it, of course. We're into Fantasy Island casting here now. Far too expensive, but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And my fourth choice would probably be Bridget Novell. If you don't know who that is, you haven't been watching my channel the last few months. She was Elizabeth in the mid-2000s Australian sci-fi show Wicked Science, but is most famous as Lana Crawford on Neighbours. Around the same time, she was the show's first openly gay character. I think she was a fantastic actress. She wouldn't do it either, unfortunately, not because she's too expensive, but because she's pretty much given up acting, which is really unfortunate, because I thought she was great. And as Elizabeth, she had that kind of arch, rather acerbic, superior quality, which you can certainly see in Romana. But she also, as Lana, she certainly had a warmth and a humour that would also. So I think she was a great actress. she's got a really interesting look as well. I mean, she's a really beautiful woman. She's got a really interesting kind of appearance. She's got these striking eyes that all give her this almost slightly exotic appearance. So I think she'd make a great Romana. Anyway, moving on. I've said too much already. Jules327 wants to know my favourite Australian movie. Oh boy. You know, I get shot for saying this. I'm really not that familiar with Australian cinema. The only things that seem to come to the cinema, at least, are these high-end, pretentious dramas that you'd have to pay me to see. The only thing I can think of is Razorback, the 80s monster movie with the giant killer boar, and no, it's not played by me. That's about the only thing that springs to mind. I have just recently ordered a late 2000s Australian horror movie. It's not here yet. Called Damned by Dawn, I think it's called. No particular reason for ordering this. It's got nothing to do with any of the cast or anything. Nope. But I've no idea what it's like. It's probably a load of old tripe. I'm going to say Razorback. The Elite asks, how would you retcon series 11 and 12? I don't think I would. I think the only way really to save Doctor Who now is to basically retcon the whole of New Who out of existence. I don't think you can just retcon bits of it. You'd really need to cancel it, take it off air for a decade or so, bring it back, and either it be a complete reboot or be a reboot that basically picks up from the end of Classic and shuffle New Who off into a different kind of reality, parallel universe version. I mean, I know that's a shame, and it's probably never happened. It would never happen anyway. And it's certainly a shame for some elements, because I mean, I do like early Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and that. But I don't see how you can just retcon pieces of it. The whole thing's got to go, really. And the last question is from IB Productions, who wants to know what my favourite horror movie is. I'm fairly sure I've said this before, but it is the original, not the 2006 remake, and certainly not the 2019 remake of the 1974 original version of Black Christmas. That is probably my favourite horror movie of all time. If you don't know, it's about sorority sisters over the Christmas period being terrorised by a madman. It's basically Halloween 4 years earlier, and it's just as good, if not better, in my opinion. And I love Halloween. Halloween's probably my second favourite horror movie. But Black Christmas is it's just a really good movie. It's got some really good actors in, like Margot Kidder and Olivia Hussey and the great John Saxon. It's a fantastic Christmas atmosphere, the iconography and the snow and the winter, and it's all set against this horrifying thing that's playing out. That's just a fantastic film. I love that movie. And that appears to be it. That seems to be the last question that we have. So that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked listening to me. If not, I can always bring the computer back if you think it's got more life to it than my actual voice. If not, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.